everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. I'm so excited today. I have a very special guest on the podcast, and this is something we have been planning for so long, and it's finally worked out. I'm here talking to Adelle Drover from Roll Credits, her YouTube channel, and this is just so exciting for me. And Adelle, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad that we're finally here. We're finally doing this because, we've been talking about it for quite a while.
Yeah, this is so exciting for me because there's not that many female film YouTubers out there. And so you were one of the first channels that really inspired me, and that I've always really admired what you do on your channel.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been doing it now for, actually the month of April will make it 5 years I've been on YouTube.
Gosh.
So
wow.
Yeah, I've been loving it.
So we actually started pretty close to the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 5 years for me as well. So what inspired you to start a YouTube channel?
Well, I guess for me, it was similar to what you said. Like there just weren't that many females online reviewing films in the video space. And what actually, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos at the time, and I had some male reviewers that I was following and thought they were absolutely really great. But then it was in 2014, and there were a few movies that came out that were very female-centric movies, like female leads, and really very just specifically female stories. And I was looking for some female opinions on them and just couldn't really find what I was looking for. And I thought, hang on, maybe I could have an opinion. Maybe I could add my voice here and people would be interested to discuss it with me. So that's actually how it started.
Yeah. That's so cool. So did you grow up watching a ton of movies? How did you become such a movie fan?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I probably didn't go to the cinema that much as a kid, really big into TV, and then was always big into home movies. So my dad had a video camera, and I would always be the one in charge of filming all our family vacations and Christmases, and then I'd kind of direct Christmas. I'd wait till I get my camera, and then you come here and you open the present here, and so I kind of sort of fell in love with making movies through doing the home videos, and then wanted to write and direct my own films, and went to film school and kind of went down that route for a little bit into writing and directing. But now I've kind of changed paths a little bit. I'm still in production. So my day job is working in production. But I also love film journalism and film criticism a lot. I just love cinema so much. So they're my two loves.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Making movies and talking about movies.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you'd gone to film school and had that experience.
Yeah, it was really amazing, and I would have loved to have gone down that path, but I just found myself really split between the two paths. And to be a female director is such a mission. It's a really a life's commitment and a huge decision. And I just kind of found myself veering off, and
So what has your experience been like being on YouTube? Do you feel like it's been a positive experience or a challenging experience? How would you kind of describe it?
Yeah. It's been overwhelmingly positive for sure. I mean, it's been a long journey to build my audience and find my little community of people that follow me and really are interested in what I have to say and will listen to my whole discussion about any particular film and then talk back, and we can discuss it in the comments, which is amazing, because I don't do really 5-star ratings or anything, so you have to actually listen. It's more of a discussion. You have to actually hear what I'm saying. You can't just see the little rating at the end and then go off that. And that's been really positive. Yeah, really positive. I mean, there's always the internet is kind of like it can be a little bit of a scary, faceless place, I guess, and you can have a lot of tough situations. I know you've been through some really tough situations recently with internet trolls, and even worse than trolls, people just from fandoms who get riled up and then aggressive and angry on the internet, which is absolutely horrendous.
What would you say is one of your most controversial reviews that you did?
Oh, that's a really good one. Well, recently, I guess it would have to be Aquaman, DC, the DC movie Aquaman. I disliked that, and I titled my review for that. Like, the actual title of the review was like something about throwing some serious shade on the new Aquaman movie. And so it's kind of like, and then I think my expression in the thumbnail was a little bit like, you kind of got that it was a pretty subpar review.
I wasn't a big fan of Aquaman either. I just felt like it was just too exposition heavy. I thought it was really dull, and I don't know.
I just thought it was so busy. There was so much going on, and like we're here and we're here and we're here, and then like it was a little bit cheesy and too much in some parts. And Jason Momoa was great. I couldn't stand Amber Heard, and I think I said some negative things about her, which a lot of people disagreed with me about, but I just don't think she can act. Well, she couldn't act in that movie, that's for sure.
Yeah. Do you think are the biggest challenges to being a female movie critic or on YouTube?
The biggest challenges I don't know, that's a good one. It's so funny. I really try hard not to pigeonhole myself too much and into being like a female reviewer. Like, I know it's like an automatic segmentation, like I'm a female film reviewer and a female critic, but I try not to live in that world too much. Although, having said that, just recently I created on Twitter this female film tuber. So it's like female film tube. It's this like new hashtag to kind of categorize all the females talking about films on YouTube and kind of put together a list. And you're in that list of everybody, just to kind of like bring us all together in like one little space so we can have like discussions and talk about it.
Yeah, I think the challenge for just women in general in almost any career is that you can get pigeoned into, or you can get labeled as either the homecoming queen, or you're the witch, for lack of a better word, or not. You, and so they either want you to be sweet and perfect and whatever, or they want you to be, or they label you basically as as a jerk if you have any kind of strong opinions. And I think that that you see that in most fields, that if you're determined, if you're working hard in a way that that any man would be doing the same thing, but then you're not feminine, you're not. But if you are feminine, then you're a joke. And so that's I think a problem that we have sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know. Do you feel like you have particular sort of genres that you gravitate towards in your reviews?
Yes, I try and gravitate to. Well, I do always like to do the bigger blockbuster movies because they're fun. But I like to try and seek out the indie movies, and then I have a segment on my channel called Foreign Film Fridays, and that's like the first Friday of every month, talking about a foreign film because I love that genre, and by foreign I mean anything that's non-English language. Yeah, that's I think the best thing, when you can kind of champion a little film and you can get people to see it. And I mean, I think some of the big ones that I championed, and it's become actually, I guess,
a semi big film, but I loved the movie Your Name, and it became kind of my goal in life to get every single person I came in contact with to see Your Name. And they were joking that I should get some kind of royalty or something like that. I've gotten so many people because I loved that movie so much.
Yes, that was a gorgeous film.
Oh, it was so good. And it had so many layers, and it's just a movie that I can watch again and again and again and get new things out of. And so that was one of those for me. But every year I feel like I find usually something with animation that I just love and that I want to champion. But last year I loved Leave No Trace. Was one of my favorites. And then I also loved movie Lean on Pete. I don't know if you got to see that one.
I didn't see that one.
It was so good. I love Andrew Hay, the director. I think he's incredible. All of his movies have been just so great. And I don't know, I just felt like it was such a beautiful, devastating at times depiction of America today. And I think Charlie Plummer is going to be a huge star. He certainly deserves it. He's a great young actor. So I feel like Lucas Hedges and Charlie Plummer are just going to be like swapping, and Timothy Chalamet. The three, they're like,
oh yeah, interchangeable.
Yeah, they're just swapping great roles, and they're definitely going to be the future, I think. But I just love when you can find things like that, and you can share them. That's when it becomes exciting.
Yes, I do love that. I do love being able to, some of the best receptions I've had with my reviews on YouTube is when it's a film that people have never even heard of.
Yeah.
And they actually come back and they say, wow, like I've never heard of this film before you suggested it. And thank you so much. Like it was awesome. And that just always makes my day. Yeah.
That's when it's so worth it. Because I just go home from seeing those kind of things. I'm like, yes. That's so because I'm from Utah, and so it's easy for me to go to Sundance every year, and so I usually find a lot of those gems there, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, I want to go to Sundance so badly. It's on my wish list, my movie bucket list, things to do. One day I'll go to Sundance.
Well, if you ever do, we'll have to hang out. That will be fun. Yeah. Definitely. And it can be challenging. There's you're putting yourself out there, and so and you're criticizing things. So I have no problem with people criticizing my review, and even if they think I'm dumb or think my argument is dumb, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. It's just when it gets kind of escalated to the next level.
Yeah, I agree. That it's not right. It's like, we're here to open a discourse about a film, and if someone on the internet wants to disagree because they love that film or dislike that film, that's fine. And if they want to disagree because they disagree with our opinions, or that's also fine. Mm-hmm. Or if they don't like, it's kind of like when people come after me and attack me personally. It's like, well, hang on a second, like I'm just here giving you my opinions. It's not like set in stone concrete. Mm-hmm. You're welcome to disagree, but you don't have to come after me and attack me personally. And I think that's maybe what you were sort of suggesting earlier when you say, is it hard to be online, as a film critic online and out there on the internet, especially YouTube, where you're putting your face out there. It's not just a written review where you can kind of hide a little bit behind the text. It's like, I'm here, it's my face, like right online. So when people say that they dislike me and they think I'm stupid, it can't help but feel a little bit personal. So that's definitely something that I've had to learn to overcome over the years. Yeah.
And you can kind of treat it as sort of a badge of honor that, you must be doing something right if people are responding to you. But it kind of reminds me of this one time I was working at this teriyaki chicken kind of place, and in college, and this lady comes in because you had to make the whole vat of chicken, the whole thing, and you had to kind of guess how much you needed for the whole day. and then you can't really make more on that day.
Oh, right.
And so it was close to the end of the day. This lady comes in, and we had other options. We were out of chicken at that point, but we had beef. We had whatever. We had other choices, and and she just reamed me out the fact that we were out of chicken. And she says, you know, this is the second place that she's gone of this particular franchise, and she says, you know, that you know, why are things being run so irresponsibly, and all of this. So she just goes off on me. And I remember just thinking, like, what is wrong in your life, like, that's making you treat me this way over chicken? Like, what?
Right. And you know what? There probably was something really, you know, she was just projecting. It probably had nothing to do with you and the chicken. I mean, that just like set off whatever miserable stuff was happening in her life. I know. So that's right. Like, sometimes when people disagree with me, like, really forcefully, in that next level category of disagreement, where it's more like, they're not even listening to what I say. They're just going on a tangent, on a rant. It's almost like it's not even worthwhile interacting or responding or trying to go back to that and reply, because like no reply is going to satisfy them or me. It's just not going to
experience that the way that we dehumanize people, so that we can justify to ourselves how we're treating them. You know, that I'm just this, you know, this chicken lady to the chicken woman. But I've always thought of that experience and just like, lady,
it's clearly stayed with you.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, I never want to be the chicken lady.
Yeah.
I always want to try to treat people with respect, because it's usually not their fault, even if they're being frustrating. But anyway, so you are from Australia.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very exciting. And now you're in England.
That's right. Yes, I moved from Sydney to London. I guess about five, like nearly 6 months ago now. And it was the most scary thing ever. It was really terrifying I sold all my stuff, sold my car, everything, and put everything into storage in my parents' place, and took 2 giant suitcases and came here with no job and nowhere to live.
Oh my gosh.
Like the biggest life adventure ever. It's been fantastic. So I'm probably going to be here for a couple of years. So I'm not permanently, because I would need to find a visa, find a sponsor, all that kind of stuff. But I'm just here for a couple of years, just for a bit of an adventure. And
I didn't realize that you didn't have a job when you went over there. Whoa.
Well, I was kind of like, you know, in this little bit of a life change, and I called it a career break. So it was that whole like, oh, I'm going to quit my job and move to the other side of the world, and that's literally what I did, like something from a movie.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that.
It was really cool. Yeah. So it's taken me a few months to really like settle in. I did a bit of travel around Europe and around Italy, and been having a great time. And now I'm settling in, getting some work, found a share house, a place to live, and it's going really great.
Oh my gosh, you're living the best life ever, I think.
Scary. It was scary. I mean, it's hard. Some days I definitely feel really far away from home, but slowly I'm making friends and meeting people. And London's a great place for the film community, because there are just so many film festivals, so many cinemas, all playing like, you know, art house things. There's absolutely something for everyone. Underground cinemas playing all this like obscure stuff, and big film festivals. And actually just last week I was at the BFI Flair Festival, which is the LGBTQ plus festival. And that was awesome. So yeah.
That's so cool. I think they even have a Sundance London, if I'm not mistaken.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Yes, and I am looking forward to it. So I think some of the things that were playing at Sundance will be coming over for Sundance London. I think that is end of May.
I tell you,
That.
if you can see Blinded by the Light, make sure you put that
Ooh,
on your.
okay.
It's so good.
Really?
It was my favorite. So it was my favorite film at Sundance. It's still the best movie I've seen this year. It is just like joy in movie form. It was so good.
Wow. Okay, great. I'll have to come to you for some recommendations.
Yes.
They haven't put out the program yet, but as soon as they do, I'll hit you up. I'll have to get your suggestions.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if it's not there. But it's by Gurinder Chadha, who did Bend It Like Beckham.
Oh my God. Such a classic. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's about this Pakistani kid in the like 1985, and his dad and his parents are really strict and traditional Pakistani, and he wants to become a writer, and his dad doesn't support that. And his friend introduces him to Bruce Springsteen, and he becomes like obsessed with the music of Bruce Springsteen. And I'm not even that big a Springsteen fan, but they did so well of using the songs, and it was so charming. Because I loved Sing Street. I don't know if you.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it.
I absolutely loved that movie, and a lot of things I feel like since then have been, this is the next Sing Street, this is the next, and this is the only one that I feel like really deserves it. This is the next Sing Street. It was so good.
Oh, so, okay. All right. Yeah. Blinded by the Light. Done. I'll definitely try and think that out.
Well, we thought it would be fun with Mother's Day coming up and to talk a little bit about our favorite movie moms and some really dynamic performances. And because a lot of times the mom character is kind of just sort of ignored. It's just sort of the supportive wife. Yes. And even in really good films, you don't really get a lot of her character and her personality.
Yes, I agree. I really do agree, because actually with this exercise, which is an awesome idea with Mother's Day coming up, but I kind of had a little bit of struggle with I had some great movie dads spring to mind immediately. And for the mums, it took me a little bit of time to actually, find some. But I mean, there are some great ones, but it was more the dads that stuck out to me more. I think the mums do get a little bit overlooked, or they kind of get baked into the story. Whereas, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And a lot of times the death of a mom is used as kind of a story crutch for people. It's certainly true with Disney, that's for sure. There's almost no moms. They're all usually orphans, but if they have a parent, it's usually a dad, like Beauty and the Beast, for example, or also Little Mermaid. It's just a dad. I don't know. It's a funny thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, what about? Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, we could really pick apart Disney and look at that.
Yeah. I ended up with 5 on my list. You have 3, so we will just go over our picks and talk about them a little bit. But my first pick is from one of my favorite animated films of all time, and it's Mrs. Brisby in The Secret of Nimh. Have you ever had the chance to see Secret of Nimh?
No, I haven't. Oh, tell me all about it.
That's so good. Yes. So this was made by Don Bluth in 1981. It was released 1981 and 1982. But anyway, and it's an incredible film. It's based on the book, fairly loosely based on the book, about this mouse. And she lives in this world that's run by all of these strict men, I guess you could say, male mouse, mice, whatever. Anyway, and
okay.
so
mice, yeah.
Yeah. And so she has this son who is sick, and there's this whole sort of legend of the rats of Nimh and kind of what happened to them, and they were sort of there's this whole research lab the humans treated them, did stuff on the rats, so they have like kind of special powers, I guess.
Mhm.
Anyway, and so she's wanting to get treatment and help for her son, but there's some people who like her because her husband was willing to stand up against these rats, and then there's other people who hate her for it. And her husband died under sort of mysterious circumstances. Anyway, long and short of it is, they end up having to move her family, and so she is obviously very concerned because her son is sick. Making it sound more convoluted than it is, but anyway, what I like about her as a character is that she is a very kind of unwilling hero. She doesn't really want to be brave. She doesn't really want to be bold. She's not like a kick-butt female character like we see so much now. She's very soft. She's very quiet. I think the vocal performance is really wonderful in there. It's the same vocal performance as in Land Before Time, which is also Don Bluth. And I think it makes her very easy to root for because she is just so humble and she's so sweet. And so I think that makes her a really cool character. And her whole motivation is to save her son. She's not doing this for any kind of praise or any kind of reward of any kind. She is only doing it because she loves her son and she wants her son to be to get better. And so I really, really love that. And it's a beautiful movie. The animation is incredible. The way that he uses light and colors is beautiful. And it was a real kick in the butt to Disney because Don Bluth was a huge animator for Disney for a long time. And in the 80s, it was a rough period for Disney. They only had, until Little Mermaid in 1989, they had a bunch of strings of disappointments and problems, and particularly the Black Cauldron was a huge disaster for them. And Don Bluth had just gotten so frustrated in working with Disney, and particularly on The Fox and the Hound, that he and I think 13 animators all left. And so then they made Secret of Nimh, which was just so beautiful and so great.
Did it get much recognition when it came out, the film?
I think it did. It was a different era. Don Bluth became an animator who kind of forced Disney to pick up their game and to start doing better. And what's interesting about The Little Mermaid is that it was kind of their last ditch effort. They were very seriously considering completely closing down the animation department, which, oh my gosh, you can't even imagine. And Jodie Benson said that when she would go and do recordings and stuff, that people were boxing stuff up, things were closing down. Like this was literally their last hurrah, kind of thing. And then it was an incredible film, and so it saved them. But
wow. Oh my God. I had no idea. I'm getting a Disney history lesson right now.
So it was interesting, but yeah, you should definitely check out Secret of Nimh. It's it's a really, really wonderful little film.
Wow.
So.
Well, yeah. And that sounds also unusual to have a film where the main protagonist is a mother.
Yeah.
That's
and
kind of not heard of.
Yeah.
I mean, like not heard of, but like that. Yeah, it's really unusual.
It is. It's unusual, and also just to have her be such a diminutive but strong. I think there's this idea that a strong woman is not feminine, which bothers me because it's like, why are we having them not? Would we have to just pretend to be a man in order to be strong? And I think you can be strong in lots of ways, and so I appreciate that she's like a softer version of strength. So
very cool.
What was one that you had on your list?
Okay, so one of mine, for my list, I was actually wanting to look at mother characters a little bit more of recent times, and I had just seen last year on Netflix the film Dumplin', which stars Danielle McDonald, and Jennifer Aniston is her mother. So Danielle McDonald is Willowdean, also known as Dumplin, is her nickname, and her mother Jennifer Aniston is a beauty queen. Have you seen this movie?
I have not. I actually hadn't heard that very good things, so I'm excited to hear that you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. Like I don't think it's the best movie, but I think it has like a lot of value in terms of the relationships of the mother and daughter, which is why I kind of want to talk about it, because I probably didn't review it favorably at the time, but now thinking back on it, I think it's a great mother-daughter story. So the Jennifer Aniston is the mother, and so she's a local beauty queen, or was back in the day, and she's sort of hosting this beauty pageant, and her daughter Willowdean is plus size, and kind of they've never really seen eye to eye on the sort of what beauty, the standards of beauty, and also like what is quote unquote being like ladylike. Pageants going on in order to kind of get her mother's attention, because they have a kind of a bit of a strained relationship. She decides, as like a stance of, I guess, like almost like a protest, she decides to enter into the beauty pageant. And it kind of embarrasses her mother, because her mother says she's not ashamed of the way that Willowdean looks and acts, but it's kind of clear that she is a little bit embarrassed that she doesn't fit the part of the beauty queen or those traditional beauty standards. And there's like, it's a cute movie. It's a bit light and fluffy, and it doesn't get like right in hard into the real like nitty gritty of the issues, but it does touch on them in a pretty sincere way. And there's great music by Dolly Parton.
I love Dolly.
I know. So it's like it's a bit of fun, and I think the movie got not great reviews and ratings, but it has a really sweet and important message, and I think it's really important for young people, and I think it hits all the right places for opening up the discussion, especially between mother-daughter dynamics.
That's really cool.
Jennifer Aniston does a really good job as the mother, and she's a decent dramatic
actress. I think, we think of her because obviously for Friends, she was a comedic actress, but The Good Girl and some of the other dramatic roles that she has been in, she can do quite well.
Yeah, well, I mean, this role kind of suits her really well, because she's like this uptight beauty pageant, always like fixing perfect like hair and makeup, always like pristine, like never a hair out of place, and she plays it up really well.
That's really cool. Well, my next choice is, I went with Patricia Arquette in Boyhood, because literally she doesn't even have a name. She's just mom, which is very accurate to the way that you see your mom, growing up. And I just thought she did such a great job of her character sort of evolving over this time, the life of her child. And what I thought was really interesting about the movie is that the Ethan Hawke character, he goes off to Alaska and kind of deals with the breakup of his family, and he is able to, because he has that chance to kind of examine his life, he's able to make like better choices. And then what I thought was interesting is that if you get this feeling that she never has that option to just stop and take a breath and make better choices, because she's just so overwhelmed with motherhood, with being a mom. And then at the end, when her son is, going off to college, and she's packing him up and everything, and he says, "I'm not dying," and she's kind of just basically saying, "My life is over. Like, what has been my life all the way up through this whole time, that's done. It's over." And I thought that was so moving, and she did such a good job with that role. And I don't know, that dynamic of that, as women, so often we just kind of we're so focused on serving other people, and also we don't get, because people are dependent upon us, especially if you're a mother, that you don't have a second to breathe and really think about what you want in your life and your goals. And so that's why I really loved her performance and loved that role.
Oh yeah, I do love that movie as well, and that's why they say for women when their birds leave the nest, when their kids finally turn 18 or whatever and go off to college, and a lot of mums have so much trouble with that because it's like, okay, I've just spent 18 years dedicated to raising another human being, and now they're on off and they've left the home, and it's like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah, and Sierra, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, like that's been your job, it's been your career, it's been everything. And but even if you're not, it's still it's just nothing like the demands of being a mother. And I don't know, I just loved the movie. I know that people are like, oh, it's just a gimmick done over 12 years.
I love it too. I've never seen it. I only saw it the one time. It's one of those films that I almost don't really want to go back and rewatch. It's kind of quite a journey. It takes so much physically out of me to think about going back to watch that film. Yeah. But at the time, it's incredible. Yeah, filmed over 12 years. It's pretty insane.
It was an amazing experience. When I saw it at the theater, I was just blown away. But it was the kind of movie I almost wished it hadn't had an Oscar campaign, because I feel like, not to sound like a movie snob, but I feel like it's not, it's like a special movie and it's not one that's meant for everyone to, I don't know.
I know what you mean. Like, it's a little bit more like indie and niche, and by making it a big mainstream Oscar something, it's a little bit.
Yeah. It felt a little like throwing your pearls before swine. I'm like, oh no. But anyway, what is another one that you had on your?
Okay, another great one from recent times has to be another mother-daughter relationship. So again, these are two characters that I've chosen that their mother-daughter relationship defines them, and this is Lady Bird from 2017.
Oh, smart, yeah.
And directed by Greta Gerwig, and it stars, Saoirse Ronan is the daughter and Laurie Metcalf is the mother. And it's another teenage, relationship. I think that's what I find really like the most volatile, interesting time when being a teenager. Maybe it makes me think about me and my mum and how difficult I was with her when I was a teenager. Just where you have these like, you just don't appreciate them, and you're going through this like teething stage, becoming an adult, but you are still very much a child in so many ways, and you take, especially your mother, you take for granted. And so often as well in these dynamics that we see on screen, and probably in my own personal life as well, I would make my mum a bit of the bad guy. If she was telling me to do something or not to do something or whatever, she would be the bad guy, and I'd try and get my dad on side and be like, oh, well, Dad says it's okay. And here in Lady Bird, there's that exact same, that same situation, which makes me think of my childhood, where the dad's a big softie and it's the mum who has to be the bad guy. But she's not being the bad guy. She's just laying down the rules because she knows what's best for her daughter and what her daughter needs. And
I was surprised when people went away with kind of a negative feeling about her character, that she was an overbearing mom, because I didn't really feel that way. I mean, she's letting her I think it's the son, if I remember right, live there with his girlfriend. Yeah. And she's supportive of them when the other parents turn them out. And I didn't feel like she was overbearing with Lady Bird. I felt like she was perfectly reasonable. And yeah, that was an incredible performance. And in a lot of ways, I felt like it was almost equal lead to Saoirse Ronan's performance.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. Yeah, and maybe people thought she was overbearing because she wasn't always like sweet and lovely and saying things in a calm way. She really often like snaps. She talks to Lady Bird without looking at her. It's kind of like, do this while she's like cooking, and doesn't give her that much face time. But it's because she's busy, you know, she's trying to like, she's the breadwinner of the family, and she's trying to like raise difficult teenage children.
Yeah. I love the letter at the end of that movie. I think it's really emotionally true. I think for sure.
Yes, incredible. My favorite scene, I'll just say my favorite scene of the film is when the two of them go to the charity shop and they're trying to find this like dress for Lady Bird to wear to Thanksgiving. And they're like kind of in the charity shop, like looking at clothes, and they start by chatting, and then it turns to like bickering, and then they're kind of like snapping at each other, and just how to dig away at the people that you love, you know what drives them crazy. And then suddenly they find this dress that's like perfect, and they both stop what they're arguing about and like look at the dress, and they're like, oh, it's so beautiful, it's perfect. And I just like totally resonated so hard with that moment.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I like that moment too. And they're actually treating each other like human beings. You know, it's just so hard, because when you're growing up, your parents are the authority figures, and I think most of us reach that moment where we're like, oh, they're just like trying their hardest every day. They were just normal people. They were not perfect. And you kind of see your parents as human beings instead of being the boss, basically. And so that's really good. Well, my next choice is, I think, pretty similar movies, actually. I have Allison Janney's character in Juno, and it's a small role, but I absolutely love Juno. It's one of my like foundation movies. I absolutely love it. I think it's so funny. I think it's so emotionally true. I mean, you could even pick Juno because she becomes a mother, and then and Jennifer Garner's character actually is also an interesting look at womanhood. All three of those roles, and yeah, it's a bit glib as far as the writing, Dablacota's writing, but I love it. I love her writing. I think she's so funny, and I love all the performances. And I just think, stepmoms get a bad rap, and so I wanted to include a stepmom in there because I just think she's so great and so funny, and her, but also very sweet when she goes to the doctor's appointment with Juno, when she is asking, are you sure you can do this? This is a tough thing to do. And I and I just love when they're talking about after they get the news, and they're like, well, I just thought it was going to be a drug abuse and things. I never saw this one coming. And I don't know. She's very funny, I think, in the role, and I think she's really great chemistry with J.K. Simmons, and I think it's
I haven't seen that movie in so long. I can't even really remember the scene you're talking about. I need to go back and rewatch it now.
Oh, you should. Because so she tells her parents that she's pregnant, and the whole scene is just perfectly written, in my opinion. So great. And then they have this conversation afterward, like, what did we do wrong? What did we get wrong? I was expecting drug abuse or something like that. Not this. But I love the movie, and I do, like I said, I do think Jennifer Garner's character is actually really interesting. Her desire to become a mother is so strong, and you go from, I think, at the beginning of the movie, you're very critical of her character because it's like, oh, Jason Bateman is the cool guy, he's the one that reads comics, and she's kind of the stiff in a suit kind of one. And by the end, you realize that he's actually the loser who can't grow up, and she's the one that you feel for by the end, which I think is pretty great writing. So cool. You should definitely see it. If you haven't seen it for a while.
No, I haven't. I mean, now I'm all inspired. You've had a few great suggestions. I'd like to start a list of all these films I should go back and rewatch.
I mean, it's interesting because Dabblacota often writes about motherhood. She did Tully last year, which was so close to being great. I thought it was so strong the first 2/3 of the movie, and then it has this twist that wasn't my favorite. It's definitely worth seeing. I mean, Charlize Theron is amazing in it, and she just plays this mom who's just so frazzled, having this new baby. It'll make you never want to have kids.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I saw it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh yeah, I was like, yes, it makes yes, that new motherhood, because so many films depict the moment where it's like, you know, up to having the baby, and then the baby comes into this world, then flash forward to it's a teenager, or like maybe
Right,
they'll
right.
choose the moment where it's a toddler or something. So rarely do we see the parts where it's like a brand new fresh baby.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
And all the difficulties, and yeah, just
Did you
settling
like,
into the
did
home.
you, what do you think of that twist?
I also wasn't really into it. I didn't think that was the direction the
Mhm.
movie was going in, so I kind of felt a little bit when there's a twist that's really like, I just don't think it fit quite with the tone
Mhm.
of the indie film vibe that it was going for. It felt like a very grounded film, and then it kind of twisted off into this slightly more surreal type of
Yeah,
situation. I was like,
I
oh,
agree.
that kind of.
It was interesting because the power actually went out in my theater about 2/3 of the way through, and
Yeah.
and so I posted it on Twitter. I was like, "Oh, this movie is so amazing! I love it. It's so great."
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting to finish it, and I was,
And
oh,
you're like,
darn.
you're like, hang on, I need to change that, edit that tweet
That's
slightly.
right. Edit button. But so yeah, so one other, we won't talk too much about it, but I did have Mrs. Weasley from the Harry Potter series. I think,
She's great.
yeah,
She's so underrated.
yeah, I think so. And Julie Walters is just the best. And she gets a moment to be kind of kick butt in the last movie, which I appreciate. But she's also very sweet and great kind of dream mother for Harry, and so I think they get that. It's kind of fun to see the stay-at-home mom type character get this kick butt moment is really cool. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
She has a nice little arc throughout those films, doesn't she? Like you
yeah,
do get to see more than just one side to her, which is nice.
yeah. So what was your next pick?
My probably, if I had to pick like a favorite mother character, um, we mentioned it earlier, it would have to be Gothel from Tangled, because she's
Yeah,
like not a true mother. She's actually the evil witch who's stolen away Rapunzel, the princess, and kept her locked in a tower for her magical hair powers. But what I love so much about the writing of this character is like, and this interpretation of Rapunzel, is how that Gothel is, becomes this adoptive mother to Rapunzel in the most sick, abusive way that
yeah,
I've ever seen Disney kind of do a character. And yeah, there's this song that she sings where it's like, mother knows best, and she's like
yeah.
trying to like remind Rapunzel why she can never leave the tower. And in the song, I actually re-listened to the song, and in the song it's sort of like, follow mother's advice, I know the best thing for you. And at first you think it's because she cares about Rapunzel because she's her mother and she's just trying to do what's best for her. But then there's like, she keeps like putting her down, like in these little like ways. Like she calls her like in one of the moments, she's like, you couldn't handle yourself in the world, that's why you need to be here in the tower. And she's even like squeezed her cheeks, and she's like, oh, you're getting a little bit chubby there, and just like kind of puts her down in all these ways. And that's such a like mind fuck. Like it's such a
Yeah.
way to control somebody without even, it's like so subtle that Rapunzel doesn't even know that she's being controlled. And
Yeah. Yeah, she literally uses motherhood and the nurturing part of motherhood
mm,
to manipulate and control, which is such a villain.
mhm.
And I love Donna Murphy's vocals in that movie. I think she is just chilling and does
Yeah,
such a great job. And the song is incredible. I agree with you.
yeah,
And I mean, I love Tangled. Tangled kind
I
of
do
won
too.
me back. I had been more on a Pixar train for deservedly so for about a decade.
Mhm.
And then I did not like Princess and the Frog at the time. I've learned to sort of appreciate some things about it, but at the time that was very disappointing to me. And so I was just like, oh, Disney, they're the worst, Chicken Little and stuff like that. And then I went to see Tangled, and I was just blown away. I was,
I loved it. I
was
loved it.
so amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
the lantern scene was
Oh, it's
incredible.
beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
I think it's actually Disney's first true romantic comedy. I make that claim because it's the only, most of the other movies you don't have very much dialogue between the female character and the male character, the princess and the prince or whatever. And I think that Tarzan is kind of close. They do spend a lot of time together, even if they don't talk that much with each other. But with Tangled, they have so much dialogue together, which is unique, and I love that. And Rapunzel is just such a sweet, lovely character.
Isn't she lovely? She's so naive about the world
Yeah.
and having never been outside her tower before. And I think they do all those scenes so nice where she's like getting her freedom and
Yeah.
it's just so cute.
It feels very emotionally true to the character, and they haven't done ever since then. Both Pixar and Disney have been on the villain reveal kick, where the person you think is nice is actually really a villain. And they haven't done like a truly delicious evil villain since Tangled, and I miss that. I love that. And it's just be evil. We don't need it to be a surprise, because it's not a surprise anymore. We just expect it at this point.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I'm hoping with Frozen 2 that they just go all like traditional villain. That's my hope. But anyway, but yeah.
I know, but Gothel is such a great, like, I just think she's written so great with that abuse layer in. Like I think there's the moment that really kills me every time is like she towards the end when they're like Rapunzel's been recaptured and she's in the tower, and then the prince comes up the tower to save her, and then Gothel like stabs him, and then really calmly she looks at Rapunzel and she goes like, look what you made me do. And that's like, so she's still like projecting like it's all Rapunzel's fault. Like it's so like manipulative. It's so evil. Like that's so much more evil than just like stabbing him and walking away. Like that she says to her, like, look what you made me do. Like you're the reason. It's your fault that I had to kill the prince.
Yeah. Very, very, very good pick. Yeah. So my last pick is also another animated pick because, it's my favorite. But you can't have a discussion of movie moms without talking about Mrs. Incredible, because especially with Incredibles 2.
Excellent. Yes.
You have, I think the first, particularly the first Incredibles, one of the things that is truly incredible about it is that it shows like a working marriage in an animated film, which is very rare. And it shows that they fight, they argue, they have conflict, and yet they still love each other, and there's no doubt that they love each other. And I think that's actually really healthy for kids to see. That you can have conflict with people, including your spouse, and it not be a problem. That's actually healthy to have disagreements. And I mean, it's a bad marriage if a person doesn't feel like they can express their point of view, and is just going to get steamrolled by the other person. And so if you have a healthy disagreement, that's actually a good thing. Like a functioning relationship has that. And you'll also have how the conflict between her being willing to sort of put her dreams and life aside for her family, and how Mr. Incredible isn't able to do that, how it's just so hard for him to live this lie, but she's able because she's a mother and she loves her children. And so that's an interesting dynamic as well. And then in the second one, when she gets the chance to kind of be the hero and try to go and help not only the other supers, but help her family to survive. And then Mr. Incredible gets to be the mom, which is great.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great vocal performance by Helen Hunt. She does a really good job, and she's a kick butt character without being a cliche, in my opinion.
Yeah. I good. Yeah, really, really good choice. Incredibles 2 was really good. I really liked it. And I'm so glad that they focused on Elastigirl for Incredibles 2. I think that was a really nice choice.
I was a little bit nervous going into it because I thought, her resolve was always what is best for the family. And so by the trailers, I was like, why is she leaving the family? Why is she doing this?
Right.
But I think it worked out well. I think it made sense what they did. So yeah, it was a really strong year actually for animation last year, because in my opinion, I really liked Ralph Breaks the Internet as well. I really liked Incredibles 2. And and then neither of those won. And so Into the Spider-Verse, the fact that it was just so strong and
Yeah.
so great that it beat out two studios that I thought were at the top of their game.
True.
So yeah, it was a deceptively strong year. I don't think people realized how good it was. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but anyway, so there you go. That's our favorite movie moms. I think we have a pretty fun list.
That was a fun list. I enjoyed that. And I'm going to go back now. And I'm like, I really feel like I might even watch Juno tonight.
Oh, okay. Yes. You have to let me know how it holds up for you, because I just love it. I think it's such a great movie. So there's a lot of really great movie moms. So let us know in the comment section what are some of your favorites, and both sort of deliciously evil moms and also just good moms all over the spectrum. Let us know on Twitter or in the comment section what you think. And thanks so much for doing this. This was so much fun. I had a blast.
Oh, good. Thank you. No, me too. Really fun. Great way to spend an evening. I don't know if you've noticed, but as we've been recording this, like it's been getting darker and darker outside. So,
Yeah.
no, but this has been so great. And now it's, yeah, as we're about to get into nighttime for me here in London, I think it's about time to watch a movie, and I'm going to choose, Juno.
Yes. All right. Well, how can people find you on your channel?
Yes, definitely. You can find me on YouTube by searching Roll Credits. I'm also on Twitter. It's my full name, Adelle Drover. So you can tweet me over there.
Great. We'll have that all in the description section. So make sure you check out Adelle's content. She's amazing. So this has been such a delight for me, and you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please give us your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us your subscription and give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that as well. So
Great.
Thanks so much. And we will have to talk again soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. Hopefully, yes, we'll be talking again very soon. Hope so.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.